Hi, and welcome everybody. I'm Ray Sidney Smith, and I am the president of W3 Consulting, as well as the managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable WordPress and other web hosting services, domain name registration, and other web-related services. And so welcome everybody to Web and Beyond Live, which is my opportunity to have a conversation with you all out there in and on other planes of existence out there in the world. And what I want to do in each of these is to have a dialogue about things that are topical to me that I think would be of interest to you as I'm making my way through and talking to clients about digital marketing and productivity technologies within their small businesses. And so today I'm in New York City, and I'm here to meet with clients, and I host a monthly meetup called Getting Things Done NYC, and that's tomorrow evening. And so I'm here a day early just to meet with clients and so on and so forth. And today, what I wanted to do was to talk about two different things. One is SEO for small business. And the other was, I saw this very interesting Forbes article about trends, 6 trends that Forbes, 6 or 7 trends, we'll see when I get there, but a couple of these few trends that Forbes is noting about small business marketing. I wanted to just add some commentary to that effect. And so let's get started with the first kind of point or first topic that I wanted to talk about today, which is the notion of SEO. A lot of clients come and see me and want to talk about search engine optimization. Most often than not, it's because someone has come to them and offered them services to do SEO for them. And I generally turn people off of those types of services. If someone's reaching out to you to do SEO, then they are likely just trying to make money off of you. Most often than not, most of the businesses that I come to contact with don't have a website large enough to even warrant an SEO service. You can really DIY, do it yourself, most of the work that's necessary for those. And so what I try to do is try to educate them about what they can do themselves. And then if they do want to actually hire a service outside of themselves to get that work done, then what are the things that they're really looking for from those services? And so if you have a website that has 10 pages, do the SEO yourself on those pages. If you're trying to grow your search engine exposure, then that's a completely different other thing. That's search engine marketing, as opposed to search engine optimization, which is taking your current and existing web properties and making them more appealing to Google and Bing and the other search engines that are out there. And so just so you have some kind of context as it relates to search engine optimization, a search engine is, of course, the entry point for the vast majority of people to the internet. Search engines are not the internet. They're not the World Wide Web, but they are an entry point. You know, if you were trying to find something, most people go to Google, they ask a question in their web browser, and that takes them to that location. I know a lot of people who actually navigate around the web via their browser, even though they're typing URLs like www.yourbusinessname.com into the search field. And in the case of Google Chrome, they've merged those two pieces. So now when you do a search in the URL field, you're actually just navigating to the URL itself as well. So they've understood that about a lot of people, and so they've adopted the browser feature to just navigate you to where you are expecting to go. That being the case, search engine optimization, as I said, is the notion of making yourself more appealing to those search engines and showing up on these search engine results pages of your preference. And so we call those SERPs, search engine result pages. And the whole notion for you is to really figure out how to get yourself to appear there for the right terms. So for example, you want to obviously rank for your business name. If somebody types your business name into Google, they should be able to find your business. But unless your business is exactly what you do, that is like ABC dry cleaners, it's not particularly useful to be found by your business name. And so that means you should be ranking for things that people are asking about and looking for through natural language or specific keyword phrases that people are typing into Google and the other search engines. And so think about that when you're approaching your website. What are people actually typing into Google to find you? And those are the terms you want to be able to be found by. Now, the reality is that Google is actually what they call universal search. And hi, I'm Price50. How's it going? Welcome. And so the notion here is to figure out all the various ways in which Google is bundled together into Google Universal Search. So most people know that they just ask Google Assistant, or they go into the Google app and do a search, or they go to google.com and they're typing a search into the field, and they are being led to a search engine results page. But what's happening in the background is that Google's actually doing a whole wide variety of searches against a whole bunch of different databases. So for example, if I type in a website name, it'll likely show me that website, and it'll take me to Google's web search. If I type in the name of a blog, it will naturally know that I'm typing in the name of a blog or a blog article title, and it will take me to Google Blog Search, which has been deprecated in the front end, but is still a part of the back end of Google's universal search functions. If I do a search for something that is news related, that is kind of news topical of the day, say a political topic, it will likely take me to Google News. If I type in a search that is more about something that I'm looking to buy, like if I type in men's dress shoes, it's going to take me to Google Shopping. If I type in a search for an item that may have a visual representation, say I'm looking for pictures of eyelashes, I type in eyelashes, and images search will then show me a quick set of thumbnails of images. This is the case for audio with podcasts, video with YouTube. In essence, Google is 40 or 50 different types of search engines mashed together into Google Universal Search. And so as a business owner, what you need to really be thinking about is which and how many of those search engines do you need to be found in, and direct the right content that is understanding the intent of the person doing the search, right? Search intent is, I'm the consumer and I'm going to a web browser, or I'm going to my phone and asking it a question. What am I really trying to get to the end of? What's my felt need or want? What's my problem that you're trying to solve? And you're going to try and solve that on the other end with content, or with a product page, or what have you, fill in the blank. But it has to be on the other side of the coin, that is the consumer's intent side, that you understand, so that when they show up to Google, they can ultimately get to you. That's where search engine optimization really begins. And so then understanding that you have all of these various components, and that's just Google's search page, right? Then we talk about social search optimization. How do different social platforms handle search, and optimizing for being able to drive traffic from social media platforms to your website. And then of course, mobile SEO, which is more a product of understanding how to show up really fast for the same content, or slightly varied or variable content on a mobile device, to be able to bring people to your website through those types of searches. So there's all of this going on behind the scenes with regard to search engine optimization. And you need to start thinking, okay, if I've got an e-commerce site for part of my website, then you need to think about Google Shopping. How do I get into Google Shopping? Well, you answer that question through going to Google and typing a little search, and you'll find that there's something called Google Merchant Center. And the Google Merchant Center will direct traffic from from Google searches that people are doing for, say, men's dress shoes. And if you sell men's dress shoes, you put into Google's Merchant Center the product feed for your e-commerce solution. And now it's matching up people who are searching for men's shoes with the products that you have on your website. Okay, so start tying together all of these. Now, some of you will want to try and optimize for all the different types of Google search silos, search databases that are out there, and that's also okay. What I generally recommend, though, is that you choose one to start with. Really try to optimize well. It's my same teachable moment with regard to social media. Choose one social platform and become really great at building your community there, and then choose other paradigms, other platforms for being able to express your business brand and build a community there as well. You don't really want to bite off too much more than you can chew at any given time. But if you choose one part of that Google Universal Search, that is, you decide that you're going to publish a blog post every other day for the next 6 months and really dominate in that category or niche in your business, great. If you want to really attack local search, then you're going to go after Google Maps and get your Google My Business listing really optimized and publish really great content there, get really great reviews from your current customers and clients, and really work on optimizing your Google My Business listing for controlling the Google local search optimization, functions. And so you just have to start thinking beyond Google as a whole and SEO as a whole, and start thinking about it as these individual parts that you're going after, and you're building real infrastructure for being able to bring traffic to you. And always remember, what's the sales strategy in mind? Because take this to a retail store. If you have 50 people walking into your retail store every day, you had no products on the shelves and no store clerks in the retail store, in essence, you don't have a business. You just have a retail space. Maybe it's an art installation where people are coming in and walking out, but you're not actually selling products if you're missing one of those fundamental components of what a retail store has. Retail store has a storefront. That's the front end of your website, and it's a visual experience that people have, what we can consider user experience or user design. And then we walk into the space, and there's products on the shelves, and of course, you can't overcome a bad product, so you have to have a good product or service to provide them in that retail space. You have to have the ability to have people give you money and be able to take their money in a retail space. That's some kind of point of sale system. The same thing applies on your website. Even if you're a service-based business, right? You need to be able to take money from people when they want to give it to you. And so I always say, if I want to give you my money through your website, let me give you my money. And so figure out how that works. And there are lots of really great tools to be able to do that. And so we walk through all of those parts, the sales strategy and so on and so forth, on the website first, so that when we get to search engine optimization and more search engine marketing in the larger perspective, we actually know what we're doing with people, because then all it matters is that we're getting people to the front door. If the website's doing its job, then we're converting people into potential customers, leads, potential customers and clients. Then the website's doing its job. If people aren't doing those things on your website, then the website isn't doing its job. And so send all the people you want from social media or other places to your website. It's just spinning the wheels. And so that's why in Solo Success, my book from 2014, I flip that on its head and I say, set up your website first, figure out your sales strategy first, and then worry about your mobile and social strategies thereafter. And so if you have any questions about search engine optimization and what I just talked about, feel free to ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions in the comments. And so I wanted to just briefly run through next the trends that Forbes is talking about. I'm going to be looking at my notes here a little bit. So the name of the article, and I'll put a link to this in the description to the video, but it's the 7 big marketing trends impacting small business. And it's written by Kimberly A. Whitler. It's from the CMO network. I'm not sure what that is within Forbes, but they have a CMO network. And so the first, I'll read the trends and then I'll give you my commentary on this, because I thought this was really quite interesting. So they interviewed several people, Laura Goldberg, who's the CRO, the Chief Revenue Officer from Cabbage, and several other folks who are at WebEx and other larger organizations. And these were the trends that they had listed. Trend number 1, Main Street businesses will have a renaissance. Number 2, there will be less reliance on the large tech players for growth. Number 3, oh no, I get that. Let's see. Number 2 and number 3. Oh, marketers. Okay, so number 2 is there will be less reliance on large tech players for growth. Number 3 is marketers will rely less on data and more on great storytelling, from Corey Trepaletti, who's global head of demand generation at WebEx. And then trend number 4, side hustles will become real businesses. Trend number 5, increased value on sustainability versus pure growth. Number 6, AI, or artificial intelligence, will automate mundane tasks, paving the way for more innovation. And trend number 7, small business will go cashless, relying on digital payment methods. Okay, so let me tackle these one by one. Trend number 1, Main Street businesses will have a renaissance. What are we talking about here, folks? Main Street has been having a renaissance pretty much for the past 2 decades. Small business economy is really the economy for the United States. So much relies on the small business economy, and older cities that lost, coal and steel and so on and so forth, those industries earlier on have had their renaissance and are now doing really well. I'll give you a case in point, the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They lost steel and coal, what is it, 20, 25 years ago, maybe even more than that. That industry had been dying and died, and they went through the Phoenix cycle, right? They burned to the ground, and coal pun intended, and they rose from that. Now they have an amazing engineering. They have so many engineering schools there with CMU and University of Pittsburgh and so on and so forth. And they've risen from the ashes with a whole new paradigm. They have a strong healthcare and medical, industry that's been built out there, banking and engineering, as I said. So this notion that there are somehow a renaissance coming, it's that different cities in different economies do better than others based on their experience and their strengths. And so we now have multiple cities in the United States where remote work has given developers the opportunity to create software and new platforms and apps and so forth from anywhere. So you have Silicon Alley in New York City, here in New York City. You have Silicon Valley still doing strong, but you have other places like Dallas and Austin and Houston. You have places like Washington, D.C. that are growing tech hubs because they're able to work from anywhere. So this notion that there's a renaissance, I don't particularly buy it. I think that good business will always be good business and good for business and good for the small business economies. And I think that the more jurisdictions, economic development authorities, and so on and so forth support small business, the stronger those cities will be, and there won't really need to be a quote unquote renaissance for those things. So trend number one, I'm a little shaky on. Trend number two, there'll be less reliance on the large tech players for growth. I don't particularly know that that's true. If you're going to start an e-commerce website today, you're going to depend upon Squarespace or Shopify or BigCommerce or GoDaddy or WordPress in order to be able to build those kinds of platforms. And so in almost every capacity of business, you're really going to have to depend upon some large tech player in order to grow your business, whether that be in strict business development, marketing, advertising, and so on and so forth. You're going to rely on Google ads and Facebook ads and other social ads in order to do advertising today. I don't see how large tech players aren't going to be a part of all of this. I just don't see it. I see that there is a capability. For example, if I want to advertise to small businesses, I can go to specific cities, find influencers and bloggers and podcasters and directly interface with them and sell buy ads from them and work individually with those people. And that's really great. And it supports small business in those local economies. But the average small business owner, they're going to go to Google ads, they're going to go to Facebook and put ads on Instagram and so on and so forth. They're really not going to focus on small tech to be able to do that kind of stuff. It's just not within the voice of reason. So trend number two, I'm also a little bearish on that. Number three, marketers will rely less on data and more on great storytelling. I think that that's a guesstimate at best. I think that we need to have both of those. I think we need to have both great storytelling and use data as a mechanism, as a feedback mechanism, as a feedback loop, so that we can create better and more great stories that our brand wants to represent for our potential customers, our current customers, and past customers to bring them back for customer retention for more sales. I don't think we should be having an and or conversation here. I think we need both of those. Trend number four, side hustles will become real businesses. I think we've been seeing that trend for quite some time now, that more and more people are creating second businesses on the side or side hustles. And we're seeing more and more, because the technology is now available to everyone, for people to have a primary occupation, primary job, and then doing something interesting on the side. Maybe it starts off as a hobby or some kind of amateur professional role, and then that growing to be something bigger and better for themselves. So trend number 4, side hustles will become real businesses. I think that's been an ongoing thing and will continue to happen. Trend number 5, increased value placed on sustainability versus pure growth. And I'm going to quote him here. This is Ben Gold, president at QuickBridge, and he says, quote, in contrast to the rapid growth and overinflated valuations commonly seen over the last decade, small businesses and startups will shift to valuing profitability and sustainability over pure growth acquisition plays in the 2020s. This will be in part because of increased government scrutiny of these quote unquote unicorns, and these companies themselves value correcting and breaking apart, yada, 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 end quote. And so my problem with this is that this is a high focused on venture capital based and angel capital based invested companies. And so these may be small businesses when they start, but they are very, very high and from a speed perspective, high growth companies that start out small only for a very short period of time, and then they become big companies very, very quickly. I don't think for the average small business owner that this is particularly a concern. We want revenue growth and we want sustainability. It's not a trade-off that we can really deal with. If we don't have sustainability and we have rapid growth, then that's for a short period of time, and that business will then fail. If we have sustainability without growth, then the business peters out over time. I've seen that happen many, many times over. Someone struggles to stay in business, and that's not really a great place to be, where you're constantly struggling to make ends meet. Okay, trend number 6, AI will automate mundane tasks, paving the way for more innovation. This is one of those things that I really hope is true. I am, and I know my colleagues are out there, really, trying to explain and teach small business owners technology so that they are able to do more automation and just in essence of, say, just integrating your CRM with your accounting software or your invoicing tools will help a level of automation to just save business owners time, which then increases their ability to go out and do more and better marketing and to provide better, more high quality products and service to their customers. So yes, I absolutely hope that that's the case. I know it's an uphill battle for many of us who are in the technology training space to be able to get small business owners to understand not only that this is a value to them, but that the technology itself is sometimes complicated and constantly changing. And it unfortunately is our job, my job, to teach you all how to do this technology. And that's a constant uphill challenge. So it's up to really the software developers to be stewards of the technology that they're developing so that the user experience, the upstart cost of starting and using technology stays within reach of the average small business owner. So I think that's, again, I hope that machine learning and artificial intelligence really does help do those things. I'm skeptical from the perspective that many times it's just really complicated, and I'm sure that you can agree with that on many cases. Trend number 7, last but not least, is small businesses will go cashless, relying on digital payment methods. And this is one of those cases where, again, I'm going to be fairly bearish on this. I see more and more people adopting cashless environments, but the generations just don't demand it. They want to use the payment method that they were comfortable with when they entered the economy as an adult. So baby boomers are going to be much more comfortable with checks and credit cards. Millennials will be much more comfortable with credit cards and some mobile payment and online payment functions. And then younger than millennials will be comfortable with NFC payments, cashless payments, Venmo, Cash App, and those kinds of things. And those generational choices are just because we're not easy to change. A habit is very difficult to break when you're comfortable with that type of payment method, and you're just going to stick with it. And so I'm curious about your thoughts there in terms of any of those trends. The goal here is to have a conversation, so I'm happy to hear your thoughts on all of those things. I apologize about a little bit of the poor lighting here in New York, hobbled together, but hopefully this was a useful discussion for you about both search engine optimization as well as some of these trends that are being talked about by larger digital media, and kind of my thoughts on all of those. And so with that, if you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to hit the like button, the little thumbs up button to be able to do that. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications when I do go live. I'm trying to go live on Monday mornings, and right around this time, I'm learning that because of my schedule and travel and work travel stuff, I may need to adjust this time a little bit, but we're going to try to go live on Mondays and have this conversation with everybody, and every week just continue to keep growing the community as we try out these different things. Yeah, so mprice50 is saying yes, multiple Google search engines. Haven't thought so much about that. It's a good point. Thank you. And yes, so please give that some consideration as you're trying to approach the various search engines and the various parts of search engines as you make your way along. And so with that brings us to the half hour, and I want to make sure that I'm respectful of your time, and I need to get back to work helping small businesses market. And so I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and we'll be back here at Monday again, hopefully at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I'll see you next time for another conversation here on Web and Beyond Live. If you're watching the replay, feel free to still comment and ask questions. I'll be happy to try and answer them as I'm able to, or pop in and answer those in the next live stream. So with that, everybody have a great week. Here's to your success on the Web and Beyond. I'm Ray Signason with W3 Consulting. Take care, everybody.